Welcome to another edition of DMV 360. Did you know that over 15 million cars were purchased last year? And if you're like me, you might need a little help on which one to buy. Well, we found a local company that is traveling all around the world, test driving cars, all to help the consumer. You don't want to miss that segment. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we sit down with Dr. Barbara Tobias and get a mental health wellness checkup. I hope you guys are hungry because we found two local spots that are throwing down in the kitchen. And our spotlight is a woman that is a true boss. Don't go away. DMV 360 is up next. Imagine this, you get to travel all around the world, test drive cars from high-end luxury to rugged performance. Now, this just isn't a dream job, it's the foundation behind Automotive Rhythms.
The evolution of Automotive Rhythms, it's a humble beginnings. You know, me and my father are both from the inner city of Camden, New Jersey, and he was always a writer, and that was his passion. He worked for the Afro and then the Washington Post. And he created this column, you know, to help educate blacks on how to purchase cars, since it's the second biggest purchase you'll make next to a home. And typically, you know, we would buy a car first, opposed to investing in real estate, et cetera, et cetera. So he wanted to break down the pros and cons of how, when, where. And he started the first car magazine for our kind, called African Americans on Wheels. And this was back when I was in college at Georgia Tech. So it was pretty fascinating. And he was getting these cars every week. And I'm like, what in the world? And as he would put it, he's like, yeah, I used to steal cars, now they give me cars.
Having his dad as his teacher, Kimatni went on to finish his degree at Georgia Institute of Technology, later working for some of the leading car manufacturers in the nation, and in 2001 launched Automotive Rhythms.
So Automotive Rhythms is literally the urban automotive experience. And in today's culture, you know, vehicles are paramount, not only for styling, but, you know, also for, you know, your lifestyle pillars. You know, it doesn't just get you from A to B. Now, today's cars, you're interconnected with them. They interface with the technology of your phone, your habits, and you can implement that into the vehicle. In fact, most vehicles are computer-based and not as mechanical and engineer-based as they used to be. And that's why STEM programming is so important today in terms of its correlation with automotive. So our job is to showcase the other offerings and then compare those offerings to the emotional state that the typical brands, you know, have given us over decades.
His knowledge and expertise spans over 3 decades, driving, touching, and knowing every facet of a vehicle. But cars is just a small aspect of his success.
For me, I always paid attention. And no matter where technology shifted to, I made sure that we was involved in that technology shift. So when we did go to web, I transitioned and started my company online, whereas my father's company was print first. And it was hard to adapt. Now social media, you know, the confluence of social media really has taken precedence. So I make sure we're involved in that aspect. And you're constantly learning and reinventing yourself as an entrepreneur, because what got you here is not going to get you there. So we all made sure that we were academically on top of our business game, but also socially aware.
And with that combination of business savvy and vehicle expertise, Automotive Rhythms has showcased all around the world. Tell us, what are you looking for when you start reviewing cars?
First and foremost, you're looking at the style.
Yes. This is a beauty right here.
Yeah, this is the new Audi SQ5 2022. So this is more of a performance SUV, smaller, compact. So maybe a couple or a couple with one child. And then you go to the bigger Audi, its big sister, the Q8. So now that's just full-blown luxury, every accoutrement you can think of, high performance and very stylish. Costs quite a bit more too. So it just depends on, you know, what level of the game you're in financially. You know, so once you go from style, now you're like, all right, what are my needs?
And when Kimatni is not busy traveling around the world, he mentors students at HBCUs and educates men about health through his nonprofit, Fit Fathers.
I never thought the automotive world would bring me so many magnificent experiences and opportunities, and it really feels good just getting out in the world, and not only that, but, you know, meeting with other business minds, you know, thought leaders, and seeing what, you know, their thoughts are on certain subjects and what their strategies are. And you bring that back, and, you know, people feel like you still on top of the mountain, like, damn, son, where you get that from? Talking to some sage in some village that, you know, I never thought I would be in. So I am so blessed, but I'm so thankful, you know, for the opportunities. And there's not one thing that comes across me where I don't say thank you to the Most High for the blessings.
Coming up next.
Mental health is an overall well-being, and you can't be healthy mentally without being healthy physically.
What I love the most about cooking is the response.
We do bone focus, and we sell a lot of those.
The discipline is in never stopping.
How you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Thank you.
A place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. Prediabetes does. 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, but with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. And you can change the outcome. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test today. Go to doihaveprediabetes.org.
Just like staying in shape physically, maintaining a good mental health is critical to your overall well-being. Challenges to your mental health can affect your relationships, your eating, your sleeping, and so many other facets to your life. So I sat down with clinical psychologist Dr. Barbara Tobias to get a mental health check-in. Thank you so much, Dr. Tobias, for sitting down with us and talking about this. I'm going to start with something very basic that I think everybody thinks they know, but I think a lot of us don't know. So explain to us, what is mental health?
Okay, I'm glad you started with the positive. Okay.
Yeah.
Mental health is an overall well-being, and you can't be healthy mentally without being healthy physically. And so mental health basically means that there's meaning in my life, that I hit bumps, but I'm able to get through them. It means that I'm living a well-balanced life, that I'm able to shift from work mode to play mode, and that psychologically we see that life is good. This doesn't mean that you're always happy. It doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
There's a difference between joy.
Yes.
Yeah, and happiness.
And happiness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Happiness is fleeting.
Happiness is fleeting.
Yeah.
And when it's there, be there with it. Enjoy it.
Enjoy it. That's really important. So what causes mental illnesses? I mean, I think a lot of us think of the, physical abuse, verbal abuse, but there's just so many other things that could really impact a person's mental health and then bring on the illnesses.
I think when I was in training for my doctorate, and we learned to do the MMPI, which is the Minnesota Multi-Personality Inventory, and you do that to diagnose people. We always wanted to be sure we'd show up on the neurotic side. That's where depression and anxiety, that's where that shows up, because it's a paper and it's like a graph, and then we fold it in half. We don't want to be on this side because that's the characterological disorders.
Okay.
So when you look at the difference between the two and you're looking at what causes mental illness, I'll start with the neurotic side. That's a depression, anxiety, just grief, grief that is you're not able to work through, process it. You're not able to do that. Anything can happen. I think particularly now because the world is tense.
Yeah.
It is tense. It's kind of like a rubber band that you can, stretch it, pop back, stretch it, pop back. Stretch it, it pops. Or stretch it and it doesn't quite go back to the shape that it was in before. So on the side of anxiety and depression and all of that, it can be just life events that they're the straw that broke the camel's back. There are many people who've been depressed all their lives.
Yes.
Yeah. And so sometimes it's because of something that happens. Sometimes it's because there is a biological predisposition for that.
Hereditary.
Hereditary, thank you. I appreciate that. Hereditary. And when I see clients, I do what we call a genogram, and I do an emotional genogram so that I'm able to actually see, well, what happened with grandmother and grandfather, and what happened with daddy and his siblings? Oh, and this happens with you. So some of it may be learned behavior, but the biological predisposition just basically means we all have our tipping point.
Everybody
Our
does.
breaking point.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the extent to which you can spring back makes the difference between mental health and moving into mental illness.
Yeah. You know, I am a strong believer that everybody should sit down with a person like you
Oh,
at
absolutely.
least 3 times a year. You
At
know what I mean?
least.
You know,
Yeah.
even if you're having a great year, I think you should always do, a mental health check-in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why don't you think we support that more in our society? Why is there such a stigma to mental health?
I think that we grow up with expectations that are not based on reality. Okay. So if what you're experiencing is different from what you expected, then you deny it. Men in particular deny depression, and they don't understand that one of the early symptoms for them is anger, because that was the only emotion that they were given permission to feel as a man.
Yeah.
We feel empathy. We talk to our little baby dolls. And we say, oh, did she hurt your feelings? I'm sorry. Boys are not doing that. That G.I. Joe, or that was in my day. But, they're shooting, killing people. And so I think that, in fact, I know, because of all the work that I've done with men, in particular black men, men don't have the vocabulary to really articulate what they're feeling. And so why is it that it's a stigma? There are myths, because to have mental health problems means you're weak. It means you're crazy.
What should we do when we start to see these symptoms showing up in ourselves or in a family member or in a friend?
Find someone who you feel comfortable with to say, this is what's going on. Is that normal? This is what's going on. What should I do about that? If it seems strange to you, it is probably strange. There's something wrong. Sometimes people who are very depressed will isolate. They'll lose weight or they'll gain weight. Sometimes you'll see road rage. People who have road rage, we need to do something about that.
Yeah.
So talk about it. Have the courage to talk to someone you trust. And it may or may not be a family member.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you recommend everybody should seek out?
I think everybody needs to see somebody. Everybody. Everyone.
Stay tuned. DMV 360 will be back in a moment.
Every 2 minutes, a woman in the U.S. is diagnosed with breast cancer. And that's why when others look away, we lean in. We're fighting alongside patients because we know one moment can change everything. With your help, more moments of hope are possible. Join our fight. Save lives.
Yo, Scott.
Hey.
I'm heading out, man. You want to ride?
No, I got my car, but I actually really need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, you know what? I was just in there. The line is like 10 people long.
You know, I think I'll just...
Dude, are you okay?
You wouldn't believe what I was just thinking. I am definitely buzzed.
Yeah.
I think I will take this, and I will take that ride home.
Smart man.
Did you see how that dog was looking at me?
It was settled back in 1695, named after the first Duke of Marlboro. The town of Upper Marlboro is one of the oldest surviving Southern Maryland towns, dating back to colonial times. Now, in the heart of this historic town sits Main Street, which was and still is the home of the Prince George's County Courthouse. But nestled right next door is a restaurant that has been part of the town's evolution in history.
For me, when I heard that, the first black judge couldn't come through the front door here was mind-boggling. And just think, sometime later, a brother's been here almost 20 years beside the courthouse. I think that goes to legacy and the ability to sit and say, hey, I'm gonna do it my way and persevere, not take no for an answer.
And with that determination, owner and executive chef Donnell Long opened up Olde Towne Inn, better known in the community as OTI.
Well, what started me on my journey to start Olde Towne Inn is I was in the Boulevard, I had a restaurant in the Boulevard. One of the lawyers in the area told me about this particular location. At the time I was working on a spot in New Carrollton. I really wasn't interested. The deal fell through in New Carrollton. I came back that day, as almost fate had it. They got evicted that very day that I called and inquired about it. Raised the money, and it was just a perfect situation.
Like many restaurateurs, his beginnings started at the ground level, grinding and building his culinary skills.
Well, I got an associate's degree from Washington Culinary School, so that's my background. I went to DuPont Circle. And then you just do your dues from restaurant to restaurant, working your way up through the ranks, getting, promoted, from line cook, sous chef, to chef, kitchen manager, executive chef. So you just put your dues in from going from restaurant to restaurant.
Now the kitchen stays busy with a menu full of soulful and seafood dishes.
Some of Olde Towne Inn's signature dishes would be our stuffed salmon. Everyone comes and raves about that. Our seafood fettuccine. I have dozens of staff members who've gone on to other restaurants, and they say, Donnell, your food is incredible, because they get to see the rest of the industry. That's what drives us. What drives me when I sit and put this together is to sit and make it a top-notch destination off the beaten path, but well worth the drive. What I love the most about cooking is the response. I believe that a great meal can bring people together.
And it's that response that has kept the doors open for 20 years, weathering some of the toughest of times.
How we survived the pandemic, the business owners in the area came out every day. Even when it was just doing the to-go orders, they came every day. Then what we also did, we started cooking out front. We started grilling. I put a grill out front and smoked up the whole neighborhood. They tried to drive by. It didn't work out too well. They quickly turned around because it was smelling good up in Upper Marlboro.
Olde Towne Inn, where everyone meets. Don't Don't you remember when Friday came around? That meant it was Friday fish fry somewhere. And just down the street from OTI is a fish joint that is frying up fish and a little bit more.
A lot of fried fish. We do bone croakers, and we sell a lot of those. And I guess the po' boys, the honey garlic chicken, and the fried fish, really.
And it all started on wheels for this family-run fish joint that has a simple menu with a whole lot of love.
We have freshly made bean pies. All these cakes are homemade, from the pound cake to the banana pudding to the carrot cake. And I mean, the menu is pretty simple, only because we don't want to make it too big. We got onion rings, collard greens. So we give you little greens. We got coleslaw, hush puppies, and fries. So we kind of keep it quick and simple. We want people to be able to get in and get out, get back to work.
But it's good old home cooking is where Lloyd Smith got his culinary skills, influenced by his mom, who's still at his side.
Oh, my culinary, where did it begin? Just from family, basically. And just picking up stuff from my mom, my dad. I get to see my mom every day, see my stepdad every day. And you know, as you get older, a lot of people don't see their mom and dad every day. So this allows us to be together and, you know, work together. And we have our issues sometimes, you know, but we work through it. So I mean, I love it, actually.
Oh, did I forget to say fried? From fried chicken, shrimp po' boys, and their scrumptious Krabby fries. If you're craving for something fried, Crave It provides.
Today we're gonna do an oyster po' boy, which we sell a lot of those, and a honey garlic chicken sandwich. That's what we're cooking up today. It's a fresh chicken breast. We fry it for about 5 to 6 minutes, and then we brush our honey garlic sauce on it, serve it with a pickle and a side of ranch. Right.
And don't sleep on their oyster po' boy, made with a hearty serving of plump, juicy oysters, topped with Crave It's homemade secret sauce.
I wish you guys could have some.
Make no mistake, Lloyd says, this business isn't for the faint of heart.
Transition is hard. It's hard. It's two different businesses. And I didn't know that, but I soon learned it, that food trucking it's more of a hustle, you know, and you can kind of move your truck to where the people are. But with the brick and mortar, you hear, it's hard to anticipate who's coming, who's not coming. You just don't know. So it's just two different. I'll tell anybody, just because you can run a food truck doesn't mean you can run a restaurant. It's just two different businesses. That's what we hang our hat on, is just having good customer service and fresh food. Fresh food.
Don't go away, DMV 360. We'll be back in a moment. This is good.
Each year, there are more than a dozen significant tropical and winter storms that threaten the East Coast. So chances are there will be more hurricanes and blizzards near here again. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has all the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
And someone says, you need a bone marrow transplant, those are just not words you want to hear.
I got a call that it was the best match. It was one of the best days of my life. I'm so happy that you're okay.
I just want to say thank you for the second chance at life. Thousands of patients need a donor like you. Learn how you can help at BeTheMatch.org.
So what do you get when you have a true baller turned Miss Black USA and is striving and thriving in one of the hardest industries in America? DMV 360 wants you to meet our person of the week. The minute she walks through the doors, it's nonstop.
How's it going today? Good. Hi, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Vice President of Carolina Kitchen, Big City Foods, Moss days begin early and end late.
I start my day in the back of the house to see the temperament of the people who are handling the food. Who am I dealing with? Then I have to already pre-prepare myself because I know something that the rest of the staff don't know, and that is who called out, who's sick, what zone I have to cover, you know, today, or be prepared that maybe someone will come in or maybe someone won't. So I'm like, where do I have to fill in the gaps? I'm thinking about the end. How do I get to the end of the day before I even get started.
She attributes all her achievements to God and recognizes how every experience in her life have been building blocks to her success.
God's word is true. So I made a promise. I was like, I'll never stop telling this story. I'll never stop telling how you saved me. I will continue to do the work no matter what it is, whether didn't know I was going to be in the restaurant business, but whether I'm here, wherever I am. And his promises never come void.
She says it was her competitive spirit that landed her a college basketball scholarship and later taking home the crown in the 1996 Miss Black USA that started shaping her.
Always look for things that would enable me to have a platform to work through my fears, because there was clearly players that were more talented to me. There were clearly other people that had more confidence to go out on stage and talk just naturally. And I mean, every single game, every single practice, everything I did, I was always nervous. So I did all of those things to work through my fears. And it was later in life that I realized that that gentle, sweet voice that encourages you to work through your fears, no matter what it was, getting out on stage or telling young people, hey, you can do it, when you have doubt in your own mind whether or not you can do it, and you just find yourself saying, you can do this.
And it's that mindset that helps her oversee 5 restaurants and continue to work on building a nationwide brand.
So I'd like to finish this work within the next couple of years, and actually Dr. London was here last night and we were working and going through the plans for the next 5 years. And in the next 2 to 3 years tops, I want to be out of the stores and this travel with the brand to help develop the brand nationwide.
Besides developing a nationwide brand mentoring young girls and women, Moss says to be a winner takes hard work, discipline, and never giving up.
The discipline is in never stopping, and then it's really easy. Surround yourself around people who will continue to motivate you. And if you have a negative feeling about being around positive energy, then you're the problem. Just embrace the journey. And if you fall, get back up. And if it doesn't look like if you have to go to McDonald's or come to Carolina Kitchen or work in an office as a secretary or whatever the case may be, whatever it is, you do it your best, because God, he'll always come back and he'll get you and he'll show you where this place will bring you to the next place. And then the next place will bring you to your ultimate place.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of 360. We'll see you next time around the DMV.
Every 2 minutes, a woman in the U.S. is diagnosed with breast cancer. And in that moment, her life changes forever. The toll is great. The need is greater. The need to find comfort in the dark hours. The need to find hope in the cures. And that's why when others look away, we lean in. We're fighting alongside patients because we know one moment can change everything. But we need your help to make more moments of hope possible. Join our fight, save lives, because we are all stronger together.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.